something's going on. Something sneaky's going on around here. Still figuring it out, but I want to tell you what I have seen so far. And I think you're going to be surprised. Well, you may not be surprised, but you're not going to be real happy about it. And that is the Bay County Commission, along with their accomplices throughout the county, various elected officials who serve on the Transportation Planning Organization, the TPO. They are plotting and scheming, and they say it's just to make government more efficient. They are plotting and scheming, and I've got one of their agenda packets here because I went to a secret meeting yesterday. Not a secret meeting. It wasn't a secret meeting, but it was an obscure meeting. Nobody really knew about the meeting. Nobody really knew about the new organization that called the meeting. That was just conceived on a one-night stand by the Bay County Commission and the TPO. See, they got together one drunken night and had a baby. It was in February of 2023, and the baby is called the Governance Transit Committee. The Governance Transit Committee. And they work under the TPO and the Bay County Commissioners. And their job, I guess, is to advise. But what they're doing is plotting and scheming to create a transit authority with taxing powers. Now they're going to say, Bernie, you came to the meeting and we told you there's no taxing powers. We even showed you there's no taxing powers. This is why you've got no credibility around here. I'm going to tell you why it's not true that they're not trying to create a transit authority with taxing powers, because they call it another name. And I'm not going for it. They call it assessments, okay? And there is a legal technical difference, the lawyers will tell you, between a tax and an assessment. An assessment feels just like a tax on our end. But on their end, when they get the dough, they can only spend it on a certain thing. See, that's the difference. It's not a tax. But when I was there yesterday at this secret meeting, two mistakes so far, Thompson. Wasn't a secret meeting, and there's no taxing authority. After the meeting, I'll tell you, to his credit, Panama City Commissioner Josh Street. Yes, Josh Street. The one I've been most critical of in Panama City. What do I call him again? Not the Great Forbidder. Oh, geez. Anyway, he actually came up and talked to me, and the Beacon of Bay County was there. Jody and Jerry were both there, and he came up and talked to us, and he was very nice and very professional, and he listened to our concerns. And when I pointed out to him that when I asked the question, I'll show it to you. I'll show you me asking the question in a moment about the taxing authority. I pointed out that according to what's on here now, y'all want to have the power to levy and enforce assessments. And he was very surprised to see that. And he promised he would look into it. And he even asked for more questions and information that he would look into and get answers for us. So to Commissioner Street's credit, I just want to tell you that. You know, when they do something I think is good, you need to know about it. And that was good. So he's going to look into this stuff. He says that this new Governance Transit Committee that was just born from the loins of the county commission and the TPO. We didn't know who was on the board. Still don't know who the members of the task force that gave information to the board. Still don't know who they are yet, but I made a public request for it. And the chair of the committee, Pam Henderson, said that they will find the public record I want the report and the names of this task force. And she said they of course, follow along, get it to me. So when I get that, I'll tell you about it. But I'm going to show you what's going on. I think it's shady as all get out. I think this goes along with the big plans by the big developers and by the kingmaker William Harrison, who is now, by the way, he's a kingmaker, big attorney. Harrison Rivard Duncan, William Harrison, who now, by the way, is also a developer. Yeah, he's also a developer. He wants to build more hotels. There's a lot of migrant workers coming. Got to have more hotels and pathways across America. Rails with trails, all of that stuff, right? So he gets people elected to the commission. Then he tells them what to do, right? And they do it. They do as they're told because he's a powerful, powerful man, William Harrison. And he's got plans. He wants paths and all this stuff. And a transit authority regulates and manages all of the modes of transportation, paths, roads, bridges, waterways, railways. Something's going on. Something's going on, and I'm going to look into it. I'm going to show you a few things tonight I think you're going to be surprised about right after this.
Strong, effective leadership. 3 words that could mean the difference between prison and your freedom. I'm Al Saulene, your Panama City Beach lawyer. 850-215-0628.
Don't let back pain and neck pain get you down. Find relief at Brown Chiropractic Center on St. Andrews Boulevard in Panama City. Dr. Sherry Brown helps people heal naturally with chiropractic adjustments and deep tissue massage. Call 769-3777.
All right. So first, I suppose I should show you the questions that I had at this secret squirrel meeting yesterday by this brand new agency called the Governance Transit Committee. And here's the agenda packet. All right. So I went to the meeting. They were just formed. They meet as needed. Very unorganized, composed of, well, the people who were on the committee were people like Paul Casto, Pat Perno, Pam Henderson, and a few others. But so I got a chance to go up and ask a few questions. My voice was jacked up, and I'm embarrassed about my voice. But what I wanted to know was, you guys are here acting on the information from a task force, right? Who's on the task force? And the answer was not an answer. So I kept asking. And then I asked if this transit authority that they want to create by giving a bill to the Florida legislature through Senator Jay Trumbull and Representative Griff Griffiths, if this has taxing authority. And here's the answers that I got. Take a listen.
So I understand that you're acting on information provided to you by a task force. Is that true? Who's on the task force? I didn't see it in the agenda.
But if I can explain, this is actually a process that started about a year ago. I mean, we had several meetings that were all public meetings. We had a contractor that was paid for by FDOT who actually came in and guided us through the process, put together a House bill that was approved by.
That is the chair of the Governance Transit Committee, Pam Henderson.
By the TPO, it actually went to the legislature this past session. They just did not take action on it. So all we're doing now is coming back and we're looking at one aspect, which is the makeup of the board that was spelled out in that original document. And we want to look at, do we want to make a change to that?
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're really kind of far down the road, but we had public forums, we had several GTC meetings that were discussed with TPO meetings, and those were all advertised that this was being discussed.
Gotcha. But who's on the task force?
You know, they interviewed a lot of stakeholders in the community. They, and one of you could probably address, I don't know if either of you were involved in the process.
That would be Jean or Ashley, because it was a county process. It was a task force, not this.
Yeah, where
The
this
task force.
CPWG was the consultant that led the process, but, and see, that contract is in. That's why a representative from there is not here, because this had run its course. Their process actually was to get a house.
Tommy Ham was not there, and they weren't happy about it. Tommy Ham wasn't even there by Zoom. He just wasn't there at all. Tommy Ham, of course, is the county commissioner, who is the current chairman of the county commission. You're going to see him in action in a moment. But he wasn't there yesterday, and they needed answers from him, and he just wasn't around. Now, he's running for re-election. And Tommy Ham doesn't need to be anywhere around government, all right? So let's get back to Chairwoman Pam Henderson here. They're trying to find out who's on the task force. The task force who provided information they're acting on to create a transit authority with taxing power and land grab power and all kinds of stuff. Bernie, it's not ad valorem taxes, though. Okay, you'll see. Watch.
Legislation, which they did.
Could I make a public record request for a list of names of the task force?
I want the names.
Its findings, get a copy of its findings.
And the findings.
Yes, we'll just have to figure out who that public records request needs. I mean, you've done it here. We will just have to amongst us figure out who can respond to that records request.
They didn't expect anybody to be there.
What authorities would this new agency have beyond the TPO?
But this would, I mean, this would have authorities that are currently.
Do you see Paul Casto in the green shirt? He's on the left. See, Paul Casto is the vice mayor in Panama City Beach. Paul Casto's in deep in this plan that they didn't want the public to know about. But you know, the meeting yesterday, I only found out about it because the brains behind the outfit got an email. Okay. And that email, very few people get. So you might want to get to the transportation, the TPO, the transportation planning organization, and get on the mailing list, because you'd be surprised the stuff that they talk about. So they didn't think anybody was going to be at this meeting. They say the meeting was supposed to be for the public, right? They wanted all the public, all the people that possible could have input, and then nobody knew about it. The county commission didn't mention it. Panama City Beach didn't mention. Nobody knew about this except people like Paul Casto. Look at Paul Casto there. When I walked in, Paul Casto rolled his eyes and was so like, shit, Paul Casto. So yeah, but in order to watch it, you had to register on Zoom with the TPO 24 hours in advance if you wanted to see this meeting. So I thought I would make it more accessible to everybody, and I showed up and live streamed it. That's what we're watching here. So they're saying, yeah, what powers now is the question. What other powers beyond that of the TPO would this new transit authority have? And this is what she's saying.
You know, by the TPO and by the county. Right now, the county oversees the demand response service. The TPO oversees the fixed route, the buses. What this would do is it would put both of those services under one umbrella. So
Consolidation.
Authority would be taking on the responsibilities that are now held by the county and the TPO as it relates to the transit system. This is to get the entire transit system under one umbrella. So that it's not, as Commissioner Street was saying, it's not, well, who records these buses and who records these buses, because it's under two different entities. The funds are received, this would just simplify everything and have it under the one authority.
Would it create new districts? Would it create districts within the county?
No, it's like he said, it's gonna be like the airport authority, the port authority. It's gonna be one authority that's gonna be, the board is gonna be made up by representatives from.
Okay. I see enough of you saying that it's hard to hear them. So I'm going to, there's only a minute or so left of my question. So I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to show you some other stuff here. So when I asked if it would create districts under this new transit authority that they want to create, and the Florida legislature has to create it. So they're writing a bill to give to Jay Trumbull, the state senator, and to the state representative, Griff Griffiths. And I asked, does it have taxing authority? And they all said, no, it does not have taxing authority. One thing it cannot do is tax people. They're going to get their money from the various cities. So I looked, when I sat down, I started reading through the agenda packet, and wow, on page 14, page 12 of 17, let me tell you what I found. And again, I addressed this with because he came up and spoke to me and to the Beacon of Bay County after the meeting, Commissioner Josh Street, and he was even surprised to see this. After a year of reading this over, he said he had never seen this in here. And now that he's seen it, he's going to look into it. Okay. And it's this. Actually, I need to go back to the page I was at. Give me 1 second. I'll show you the actual packet. All right. So I posted them. You can see them as well if you want to look at a post from yesterday. All right, here we go. This is what it says. Look at this. Whoa. How about that? Do you see that? Can you read this? I asked if this transit authority would have taxing power, and they all said no. But section 6 on page 12 says there would be non-ad valorem assessments. At least the authority is authorized to levy and enforce the collection of non-ad valorem assessments in accordance with chapters 189 and 197 Florida statutes. The authority shall have no ad valorem taxing power. So when I asked about taxes, they only answered the question that they acted like no ad valorem taxing authority fully answered my question. Now, Commissioner Street was surprised to see this. He hadn't seen it before. He didn't think that it had ad valorem taxing authority. Assessment authority to levy and enforce it. More assessments. And there's more too that this can do. Look at this. Wow. Look at this. I don't think any of them really read it and knew what the hell was in here. If Jay Trumbull and Griff Griffiths get their way in the Florida legislature, this new transit authority would have the power to acquire such lands and rights and interests herein, to acquire such personal property as the authority may deem necessary and appropriate in connection with the acquisition, ownership, expansion, improvement, operation, and maintenance of the authority's facilities, and to hold and dispose of all real and personal property under its control. They said that it doesn't have this, but that's not what it reads. So, and it goes on too. It gives them the authority to lease or rent any of its easements, real property interests or facilities to other mass transit providers that are owned by a municipality, county, special district, that hold a franchise from a municipality or county, blah, blah, blah. So there is a hell of a lot going on here. These people, look at Paul Casto. Look at him. Now, there's a reason Paul Casto's on there. Look at Paul Casto. He was miserable that I was there, snapping pictures at this public meeting, trying to help him out to make sure that more of the public knew about this, because they claimed that this really needs a lot of public input, and I'm going to do my best to help. But do you know how Paul Casto got on this TPO, on the Transportation Planning Organization? I knew they were up to some stuff. I knew it. I'll show you. Here's how he got on it. This after Mark Sheldon lost the election and he was no longer the mayor of Panama City Beach because he lost to Stuart Tetimer, who is the current mayor. When I say they, I mean the usual suspects in Panama City Beach. Possibly the single most dishonest elected official in all of Bay County, Michael Jarman. All right. Along with Paul Casto here, they did this little scheme where they switched positions. Like Casto really wanted to be on the TPO and Jarman was already on the TPO. You want to see? This is what went down. Oh, it's so good. This is how they did it at the second meeting where Stuart Tetimer presided as the mayor. Now that we have an honest man presiding, they needed to make sure under no circumstance could Stuart Tetimer be on the TPO, because then we would all know what's going on over there. Taxing, land grabs, whatever schemes they have to enrich their friends. So here's how it went on in early May at the second meeting when they were deciding, who's going to be on these little boards. One of them has to be on the TPO. Stuart Tetimer, Mayor Tetimer, wanted to be on it, but they didn't want him on it. They had to have Paul Casto watch.
Okay. If that's the case, then I'm not going to be able
That's Michael Jarman.
to do TDC and TPO.
They already had this planned. And the most deceitful man in elected politics in Bay County, Michael Jarman, is going to act like he can't do both jobs. He didn't know about any of this. And so we got to have Paul Casto.
I'm just not going to be able to do it. So I'm going to step down from the TPO. And I don't know, Paul?
I would love to serve on that. That's
I bet.
background. I
Yeah.
did that for 35 years. So I would be happy to serve on
Like they didn't have this planned in
I think
advance.
You should stay on the TPO. There's a huge learning curve to being on the TPO. And you've had excellent attendance and you've contributed a lot to that organization, and they've invested in you as well. So I think that you should stay with them.
I must say, when I attended a TPO meeting as a visitor, he did a really impressive job.
Well, thank you. I mean, we've worked very hard over the last 4 years to get where we are. In respect to Councilman Casto, being 35 years in public works. So I don't think, there's going to be much of a learning curve. But I mean, I'm not going to be able to do both of them. I'm just not. I wouldn't be able to provide the level of service that I would want to provide. But on the TDC, I expect and will hold myself to the same level of service there that you saw at the TPO. So with that, yeah, I nominate Councilman Casto to sit on the TPO.
We make a motion on that.
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion for a vote.
I believe that was the brand new guy, Register. So there's in Panama City Beach now, you have Councilman Ethan Register, who was placed there by the local cabal. He was unopposed, and he knows his job. And so they're going to get the 3 votes to make sure because they really got to make sure Casto's on that TPO. They cannot let Mayor Teddimer be on the TPO watch.
Do we have a motion?
I'll second it. I'd be honored to serve if y'all let me.
They're such servants.
Ms. Pizzoni?
Councilman Register?
Yes, ma'am.
So
Vice Mayor
selfless.
German?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Casto?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilmember Coburn?
No.
Mayor Tedmer?
No.
Now we got one more.
All right. So
Also
that's
on the E ECRC.
Jeez, these guys. So that's how that went down. All right. So unbelievable. Watch. I got to show you one more time. Paul Casto sitting there now. This is what he looks like when I walk in. They didn't expect I was going to be. They didn't expect it. Look at hell, Bernie's here. I'm watching, Paul. I'm always watching. So let me show you something really interesting. That happened yesterday, right? And gosh, nearly 2,000 people watched the video of the live stream. So it got a lot more attention than they expected. And so today there was a county commission meeting. Now, remember, the county commission is the father of this new board, and the TPO is the mom. They got together, and from their loins sprung this brand new organization in February of 2023, the Governance Transit Committee, that only meets as needed, right? And they're acting on the information of some unknown task force that we're finding out about. Nobody on this new committee knew that there was assessment power, land grab power, and all the other. They just didn't know. I mean, looking at it for a year, but nobody knew about it. All right. So I'm going to show you what happened today. After that, after I showed you all that on the at the Bay County Commission meeting, Commissioner Doug Moore, FBI, you gotta be what am I talking about? You guys already know about Doug Moore. But Doug Moore had some comments about this after our reporting yesterday, and I'll show you what he had to say this morning right after this.
You want to look good? You want to feel good? Little John's Big and Tall is where it's at. Right across the street from Sky's Pizza Pie, 5700 North Davis Highway. You can find out more online at littlejohnsbigandtall.com. He's also a member of the iTex trading community, where your iTex dollars are welcome.
All right, let's go to today's county commission meeting. There he is, Doug Moore. I'm not going to go into the whole story about Doug Moore, but in my opinion, based on information and belief, Doug Moore might be the most corrupt elected official in Bay County. I also believe Robert Carroll is up there running neck and neck. There's a few others, but Doug Moore was involved in every angle of the $350 million of FEMA money that went through Bay County after Hurricane Michael in late 2018. Doug Moore served on the Citizens, he was the chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee to the county commission about where the money should go, because the county commission wanted to make sure that they had citizens input, see. But at the very same time, they'd have a county commission meeting. The money was going to a company called CDR McGuire. That was the county commission's FEMA consultant. CDR McGuire got hundreds of millions of dollars to manage. And guess who was the lobbyist consultant attorney for CDR McGuire? Doug Moore. He wore both hats. He was the chairman of the Citizens. Do you hear me? He was the chairman of the Citizens Advisory Committee, advising the county where the money should go, recommended CDR McGuire. Then he would be at the county commission meeting as CDR McGuire. But that wasn't enough for Sheriff Tommy Ford. They arrested Keith Baker, county commissioner, who resigned, and that seat was open. And Sheriff Ford did all he could to install Doug Moore. Why would Sheriff Ford need Doug Moore on the county commission so bad? I don't know, but he did. All right. So let's see what Doug Moore has to say about the TPO. Remember this, all of a sudden he's concerned about money not being spent very well over there at the TPO. Oh, he's so concerned about some consultant. Watch, listen.
I'm jumping back.
This is today.
On Back Beach Road and getting that moved up and working through that to get that 6 lane. Appreciate everything they do. One other thing related to that is I know.
Listen, just look. Listen to the way he delivers this, okay?
There have been a couple of things going on, and I just wanted to kind of bring forward a little while back, the ECRC had an event, and while they say they followed their policies, I'm not really in agreement with the way they went about handling the people's money and how much that they spent. And so I've got with county attorney's office and we'll look at this, and I would like to make a motion that the chair form a subcommittee to explore the potential alternative staffing and financial management options for the Bay County TPO, with the goal of receiving a final report from the subcommittee by September 30th, 2024, and with the intention of terminating the ECRC staffing agreement by this time next year. ECRC just staffs and handles the.
All of a sudden, he's super interested in the way they're spending money over there. Isn't he on the TPO? Isn't he representing the county on the transportation planning organization?
The admin side of this, and there are a lot of other counties that have other options, and they do things in different ways. I'm not wanting us to rush into this decision, but I want us to look at it because although he's really concerned and want to make sure the taxpayer money is this dude here of all people. Well, I wish I could blow up his face right there. I mean, this guy here. Not discuss this individually. I don't think any of us are very pleased with the way they were handling the money with what I've got to assume just from knowing y'all and all the.
Yeah, he's just got to assume, he hadn't talked to anybody about it. No, I mean, we don't talk when we're eating lunch together, all of us together at the restaurants after the commission meeting. I'm just assuming because the last thing we'd ever do is break a sunshine law.
That I just don't agree with what they've done. And so I would like for us to look at doing this in a different way.
Okay. All right. Yes.
Remember now, that's Tommy Ham running the meeting. That's Commissioner Tommy Ham, who's on the damn board and was not there yesterday. He wasn't at the meeting. And everybody was upset that Tommy Ham wasn't at the meeting. He was probably trying to fight somebody somewhere. Tommy Ham's always stepping up on somebody with his fist balled up, getting pissed off faster than you'd ever believe, making phone calls. This dude here, man.
Want a clarification? Is this a request to the TPO to commit to create a committee, or is it a county staff?
The person talking is County Manager Bob Micah.
Ultimately, that agreement is between the TPO and ECRC, not between the
I think
board,
we need to ask the TPO to do this, but I'm asking that the county ask the TPO to put together the subcommittee and to be able to do this.
Okay.
Tommy Ham's going to say, well, there already is a subcommittee that we created. Don't you remember when we got together with the TPO in early 2023? In fact, I'm on it. I just don't ever show up. Listen.
There's already a subcommittee in the TPO could task that subcommittee with this work that you're asking for. Maybe it's a possibility.
Well,
the board could adopt a resolution asking the TPO to
Okay.
summarize what you
Yeah.
So we could bring a resolution back to the next board meeting that board would resolve to request that the TPO do that.
Okay.
And then the TPO would make the decision whether that committee or another committee
Mhm.
handles it, but it would be your direction from this body to the TPO to please take a look at that.
Okay.
Maybe they could create another citizen advisory committee and have Doug Moore as the chairman, like he used to be, advising the $350 million of FEMA money that went through, that he recommended go to CDR McGuire, the consulting firm that he was lobbying and consulting with before Sheriff Ford had him installed as the county commissioner. I don't know. I mean, maybe you could do that.
Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. All right. Good deal. Mr. Doty.
Well, you made a motion, right? You want to?
Yeah.
Oh,
All right, that's enough. It goes on a little bit more, but I don't. I can only take so much. So, these transportation authorities that have to be created through the Florida legislature, they're notorious. They are notorious for being, what would I say, laundering schemes. I mean, they're just notorious for it. You've heard about. Let's remember the Hillsborough Transportation Authority. Look, it's too big of a cookie jar for these people. It's a bad idea. There is so much perverted incentive to waste money, to take people's property, to pile taxes on people, to enrich your friends who give you kickbacks and fund your campaigns. Look, I'll remind you about this. This is an article from 2023, I believe. This is a transit authority in Hillsborough. This is the kind of stuff that's common. Looming fiscal woes and an ongoing external probe at Hillsborough Transit Agency. These things are called transportation authorities. They're called Department of Transportation sometimes. Some states call them the Ministry of Transit. The Ministry of Transit. But everywhere and always, the incentives are perverted. They always say we're just trying to help the people get around, because politicians are so benevolent. So I'll just read you a little bit of it. This was February 6, 2023. This is exactly when the Bay County Commission and the TPO created this new committee in Bay County called the Governance Transit Committee that is trying to create a transit authority through the legislature for Bay County. When the Board of Hillsborough County's transit agency unanimously authorized an external investigation into the workplace practices of its chief executive, they were firm in their deadline, 60 days. At the board meeting, 69 days later, there was little mention of the investigation. There was, however, a detailed discussion of the agency's uncertain financial future and a nod from the CEO that she was exploring outsourcing opportunities. Outsourcing opportunities in an effort to reduce operating costs. The operating costs are always off the chain on these things. The Hillsborough Area Regional Transit Authority, HART, is facing a fiscal cliff in 2024. And there had to be action on it. I don't want to go into it. But that's common among these kind of things. All right. I wanted you to know about it. I don't know much about it yet. But now we'll be keeping our eye on it. And if you want to know more about it, I think Miss Sarah Moon posted a link where you can get on the mailing list for the transportation, for the TPO meetings. The next one is going to be at 3:30 p.m. I think it's going to be June 26th of this month. And nobody goes because nobody knows about it. But I'll make sure that you see what's happening. And in the meantime, we'll be learning more about it. And hopefully I'll get the names in my public record request for all of the task force members and their findings and I'll report it to you. And I might even report it in a real professional way with a great tagline, something like this.
In Panama City Beach, I'm Tom Lewis, News 13, Panhandle Strong.
Something like that. Anyway, all right, that's what I have for you tonight. Thank you so much to the Unknown Patriot for your sponsorship, and to all of you who throw a tip in the tip jar. As little as $5 a month, crowdfunding is so important. Drying up, but so important. I don't ask for it enough, I guess. But thank you to those of you who are patrons. The Liberty Lounge needs it, and I'm very, very grateful to all of you who do. It's at patreon.com/Bernie Thompson. It is anonymous, it's easy, and you can quit at any time. All right. Thank you so much. I'll take a look. I've been watching your comments pretty good today, actually, but I'll have more for you very soon.